Hello everyone, welcome back to the Remote Chick, and in this video I'll be sharing with you the differences between working as a remote employee and as a remote freelancer. I think it's very important that you understand that there are different avenues if you want to venture into remote work, and in this video I'll dive into it in 5 different aspects as it relates to working as a remote employee and as a remote freelancer, to give you an understanding and for you to make a sound decision and say, hey, maybe I want to start out as a remote employee, but you know what, remote freelancer is looking like something I would want to get into. So let's dive straight into it. The first avenue is employment structure. When you work as a remote employee, you need to understand that you'll be working specifically with one particular employer or client. You're tied to one specific company. However, if you work as a remote freelancer, you have the liberty to work with a number of people. I'm going to use myself as an example. I shared in my last video that when I started working remotely as the content manager at the digital market, I was only working with the digital market, only it, and I didn't have any other clients I was working with. However, when I stopped working that job and then decided to pursue freelance ventures, working as a virtual assistant and podcast manager, that's the work that I currently do at the moment. I have worked with a number of people. I cannot begin to even tell you guys how many people I've worked with as it relates to working as a virtual assistant or podcast manager, but I've worked with a number of people and it has been amazing. So just with that first avenue, which one do you want to get into? So just think about it and then let's get straight into the second one. The second avenue is work flexibility and control. When you work as a remote employee, you tend to follow specific company policies, you work set hours, and you report to a manager. I like to think about it like you're working a traditional 9 to 5 job, however, you're working from home. And I believe majority of you watching this video have done that before. However, if you work as a remote freelancer, you have autonomy over your schedule, you have full control over it, and you get to work for specific hours, and also you can decide and say, hey, I want to work with clients in this particular field. I want to build relationships with clients in maybe coaches or medical field. You are very picky about the kind of work that you go for, and it always suits your interests. And also you're in direct communication with the client because they have hired you for something. And I'm going to use myself as an example again. As a virtual assistant, as a podcast manager, there are a number of clients who I want to edit for, and then there are people who I want to do admin for. So I'm very picky on the people I do administrative work for, and then the ones that I edit for. So get to choose your own clients if you work as a freelancer. Then let's get straight into the third avenue, compensation and benefits. If you work as a remote employee, you tend to receive a fixed salary, health insurance, PTO, like the benefits that you would receive if you're working a 9 to 5 job. So basically that goes into the remote employee space. However, if you work as a freelancer, you're only paid your particular rate that you asked for. Let's say you get to bargain and say, I'm going to work maybe at a retainer for $1,200, 500 USD for this particular project. It's dependent on you, and that is all that the client will pay you. They'll not have to worry about health insurance for you or paid time off. No, you will not get those sorts of benefits. If you don't work, you don't get paid in the remote freelance space. Very important that you understand that. If you don't work, most times you won't get paid. It really depends on your relationship with the client. And so if you've built good relationships, maybe they can consider, and even sometimes they can hire for your role and say, hey, Joy is not going to be around for this month. She's sick, or maybe she's pregnant if you're a woman, and we're hiring someone temporarily for this particular period of time to be in her place. She'll offer you training. That's if you work with clients who really appreciate you. They want you to be part of their team, yet you are a freelancer. So get that straight, get it very clear so that you can understand, maybe the freelance space is not the one I want to get into, but you know what, maybe I want to get into it. So I hope that helps you. The fourth one will be work responsibilities and supervision. And I think we spoke about this a bit in the beginning, in the first avenue. But if you work in the remote employee space, you have a manager, you have someone who supervises you. They have to ensure that you are keeping up with your responsibilities. You're actually executing on the job. And so you report to a manager, you have a supervisor, and they'll ensure that you get the work done. However, if you work as a freelancer, sometimes they expect you to actually know how to get the job done. There's nobody hovering over you saying, hey, Joy, we have not seen that you've delivered on this specific task. The deadlines will keep you in check. So if you go off the deadlines, then you know, you're slacking and you will lose that opportunity. So it's very, very important for you to understand what your work responsibilities are, when to deliver if you work in the remote freelance space. Now let's get straight into the final one, and then you can make a decision and say, hey, you know what, Joy, maybe I want to work as a remote employee or as a remote freelancer. The final avenue is business and career management. If you want to work as a remote employee, career growth is dependent on internal policies and promotion. It's like climbing the corporate ladder. And I know saying the corporate ladder has tickled someone, but I want to say this. Working as a remote employee is like having a traditional 9-to-5 job. I say this in the beginning, so always think about it like this. If you're vying the position of the CEO, what is required for you to become the CEO? Maybe you need to have a PhD, this particular certificate, whatever is needed. Maybe have these skills, take this course, do what is needed to grow in your career. However, if you work as a freelancer, I will always say this, and I shout about this on my TikTok every other day: improve on your skills, learn specific tools and systems that are required to thrive in the field that you want to work in, and always post about your work, because you never know when you will need a client. You cannot say, hey, I'm not going to be posting about my work maybe on LinkedIn, or share about what I do, or even be in networking communities, because you're a freelancer. You may be dropped by your particular client, and starting afresh will be such a bummer, looking for clients. However, when you share about what you do, people know who you are, and you can reach out to them and say, hey, are you looking for someone on your team to help with this and this? I'm now available. I have time in my schedule. And another thing which I don't want to miss as we come to the end of this video is, as a freelancer, you get to do your own taxes. Yes, I've said the word, I've said the T word. I know a couple of you may be saying, taxes, Joy? Yes, it's important to understand what's the tax system like in the country that I work in. So for us here in Uganda, there are particular taxes that you have to pay. If I earn this amount of money, maybe I have to pay my taxes like this, but also save for your retirement, because remember, your employer or your client only pays you your money. They don't worry about your insurance, your health insurance, your insurance, your savings, your retirement. They don't worry about that. Now that's where you become wise, and in your rate, always accommodate for that. Like, this, if I'm going to charge maybe $1,000 for a monthly retainer, maybe I take away 200 and put into my insurance and my savings and retirement. You need to be wise, because remember, the people in the employee field, their employer is taking care of them, and now for you, it's really, really up to you. So I hope this helps someone, and if you've watched to the end of this video, I'm curious to know, which one do you want to venture into? Do you want to work as a remote employee or as a remote freelancer? Please share with me in the comments, and please remember that if you want to work, whatever avenue that you want to get into, you can cross. You can cross. You can start as an employee and start as a freelancer. I started as an employee and now I'm a freelancer, and I'm thinking about going back to the employee field. But we'll get into that when the time is right. All right, bye guys.